Hey, this is Henry Knight. Welcome to DM Talk. Here we talk about subject matter, 3 topics. We go over each topic and I just go over everything. What's good about it, what's bad about it, and we talk about it. And if you have anything in the comments, just, let me know and we'll talk about that. Tonight, though, we're going to go no holds barred, free for all. And it's going to be basically whatever you all want to talk about today. But I do have one topic, actually a couple I want to bring up, but that would be stopped immediately if you guys, just go ahead and want to talk about anything. Just let me know, anything, what you all want to talk about. But tonight, this is important. Do you allow your players to go over their backgrounds, create their deities? Do you allow them to decide personality and all that type of stuff? Because all that background is important, and to me, if you're a player, if you're playing a rogue, a paladin, a druid, a cleric, and you want to make a very epic as hell background, and all of a sudden, you're creating and writing, and the DM says, "Whoa, have a little leeway, just open it up for the DM to, to do his thing." What is your style as a DM? Do you sit and say, "I'm going to control the narrative, I'm going to control everything, I'm going to write your background, I'm going to write your deity, I'm going to write whatever it is that that you like or don't like, it doesn't matter because I'm going to control everything"? No. Are you that type of person when you role play, when you DM the games? Do you sit there and control the whole narrative for your players, for your party? Do you let them do everything, or do you do it? Let me know in the comments. This is an important topic because, when you're running a game, it gets incredibly frustrating when a player's like, "Hey, this is in my background, DM, what's going on?" There's no communication. See, that's why you have a session 0. You have a session 0 when you talk to your players, you say, "Hey, look, this is what's going to happen or not happen." But there is a but, and it's a strong but, because when you have a narrative, right, and you have your players and they want to write down everything and control the story, well, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't happen. There is no control on the player part, and there is no control on the DM part. You work together. That's just the way it is. 100%. You don't say, "Well, George, Timmy, or whatnot, you guys, and I'm talking about my players, you guys can't literally write everything, and then turn around and leave nothing for a DM." Because what's the point of role playing then? Where's the fun in that? I mean, I want to be where there's a mystery, right? And a mystery is you don't know what's going to happen. You're just going to sit there and role play your character, and you're going to let the DM do his thing, right? that's just the way it happens. And I think with technology today, with D&D Beyond, and all these books that are out, there's so many backgrounds, they let you read, and the player is like, wow, that's cool. I'm going to use that in my background. And then it doesn't leave a lot for the DM. It just doesn't. Now, how do you handle it? You tell the players, no, you can't do it. Stop right there, you're wrong. You're going to have to work together, because if you don't, you're going to fall off the charts. Your campaign is going to fall. It's going to fall. It's going to break. It's going to crumble. You know, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, it's going to fall right fucking down. Let me tell you why. Because you have no communication with your players. You're making them angry, and the DM is going to feel isolated. Well, I thought this was my story. I have a big deal with this because it's not just the DM story. It's everybody's story. So let the player say, hey man, I got a cool concept in this background. And then you talk it over with the DM. All right, cool. Leave it open-ended. Don't write a book. You're not writing a novel. Write a little backstory, right? Say, okay, this. Well, I have an idea about. No, you're not writing a 200-page novel. Just give the DM enough so he can hook that plot and bring it in the story. And then he'll throw in his own flavor. I think the problem is with technology, and especially with D&D Beyond, is they use everything. They have all the backgrounds there for you. How you react, how you role play, the alignment, everything is there for you. Hell, why even role play? Chuck it all up. Turn around and walk away. Don't even role play. Why bother? Is that fun? No, it's not fun. It's not fun for the DM, and it's not fun for the player. Trust me. I've been playing for a long time, and if you're going to use that background 100% in the book, right? Well, I want that background. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. All right? It's cool. Talk it over with your DM. Have some form of communication. Say, hey, what's going on? Let me have this. All right, cool. If the DM doesn't have any problem with it and you guys are communicating, the story will be amazing. But once you don't communicate, there's not going to be a story. There's going to be a big fight. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have, oh, stop the scenes. I don't know about you. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm role-playing and you stop and you're going to be like, well, it's not in my background. It's not what we discussed. Boy, does it irritate me. No, we discussed it. Move on. That's a big deal with me. Here's another one. Here's an example. Let's say a cleric, she has a deity, right? She follows a certain domain, whatever. She has this deity she follows, and all of a sudden she wants to write the personality, the domain, the attributes, all that. Would you allow that as a DM? Hell no. I wouldn't. I can say, okay, pick the deity. Tyr, for example. Freya, for example. Hell, Zeus, whatever. Pick something. That's it. Pick it. Don't describe one day I woke up and all of a sudden this deity appeared to me, and all of a sudden, I was thrown out of bed, and then I jumped on a carriage and I moved out of town. I moved away from the town. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you be a jerk like that? because it doesn't make the story better for you? Or do you want to control the narrative? When the player wants to control the narrative, then there's no story. There's no story. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best DM in the world. If the player wants to control the narrative and they want to control, oh yeah, I want this deity, but I want this to happen at a certain time. Because in my mind, that's the way I see it. Isn't it my story or yours? Well, you're just being an asshole. No, I'm not being a jerk. I'm not. Both of you have to discuss it. That's why you have a session 0. You discuss it and you say, look, you can write the background, but don't write a 200-page novel. You can pick a deity, but don't write the attributes for the deity. Don't say, well, I woke up at midnight and this deity appeared to me. Why don't you just pick the deity and that's it? And say, okay, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Why do you have to control the narrative? Why does a player have to control the narrative? Oh yeah, but in the rules of D&D, no. No, each table is different. And in my table, everybody has a good time. All my guys, they have a background they gave. They wrote it to me. They're great. They didn't write a novel. They didn't say, I want you to do this and I'm going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. They gave me plot points, which is great. But don't write a novel because it'll piss off the DM. It will, trust me, it will. Because you know what? DMs, they work just as hard as you do on your as a player. Oh, I'm just going to make my character click, click, click. D&D Beyond, I got the Acolyte background, and this is what it gives me, and this is exactly what you should work on. Hell no. No. Well, it's not part of the character cog. You know, it doesn't work well with my character. Well, no, it doesn't, because that's not the story that I'm going with. That's why you have a session 0. You discuss it with your players, and that's it. I'm on fire tonight, and I want to tell you why I'm on fire. Because tomorrow is season 2. And we're going to kick off that story, 8 p.m. Central. Be here. Sorry, I had to throw that in. I forgot to say it in the intro. But let's continue on. Here's another example I got here. Do you prefer, as a DM, to improvise or prepare? There's a lot of DMs out there that improvise. That say, I'm just going to get the feel of the party. That might be great, but only one problem with that. If you don't prepare, like I have a list of names. If you don't prepare, and they're going to go to a shop or a store, and they're going to say, who's that? What's his name? Walmart? What's his name? Tony? What's his name? Flip Flop? You have to come up with something. It's a fantasy name. It's a dragonborn, a tiefling. It's a human. It's a dwarf, an elf. You're going to have to come up with something. So improvise all the time? No. To me, I do a little bit of both. With me, I prepare and improvise. It's okay to do both. There's nothing wrong with it. But to improvise a whole game, you're looking for trouble, because the players will control the narrative. As I said in the beginning, they're going to control the narrative. And the reason being, and why I'm so passionate about it, is because it's not about players controlling and DM controlling. It's about building the story together. Isn't that role-playing? It is role-playing. My good friend Anthony Ennis, and I will give him 2 thumbs up props. He's an awesome DM. And we played in one of his fantasy games. It wasn't D&D, but it was fantasy, and it was awesome. And he puts you in these scenarios that are amazing, and everyone works together. Whether you're on a little bit on the evil side, or good, or neutral, or whatever. He says, come up with a backstory. You give him a little bit of a backstory, and he goes with it. I didn't tell him, oh yeah, well, I want my character to, I have a plane, and no, not just a plane. I have a couple dragons in the background, and I have this keep with 1,000 men at my side because I'm the badass fighter, right? No, it doesn't work that way. My buddy Anthony would not put up with it. I wouldn't put up with it. Nobody would put up with it. I don't care who you are. And the major streamers out there and YouTube will not put up with it. I guarantee you they will not put up with it. No. That's why the main thing you do is you talk it over with your guys. Communication is the key, and I'm going to stress that. Talk it over with your guys or gals, whatever. Talk it over, because if you don't, there's going to be a big problem, and your game is going to fail. Okay, I got a comment coming from Mike Dale. I think it's a player keeps their backstory open and not detailed. It gives DM something to work with. I will say if a backstory is detailed, there should be an agreement between the player and DM. That is awesome. Thank you, Mike, for the comment. That is awesome, because that is the core. When you have the player and you have the DM, both of them together working to make things better in the game. When you have the narrative of the player take over the game, doesn't make the game, because that player wants to what? That player will murder Hobo. That player will control your game 100%, and that's complete bullshit. Sorry, I said it. It is bullshit, and no DM, I repeat, no DM will put up with it. I don't care what the manual says or what the books say, no DM is going to put up with it. Why? Because player and DM have to have an agreement. Just like Mike said so eloquently. Now, I want to ask you guys a question out there. Do you role play? Or do you role play? Do you come in there, just want to roll a dice, combat, or role play? Or a little bit of both? What do you guys think of that? Because, it is a role-playing game technically. And I know a lot of people have said this. Well, you got to have a mixture of both, because if you don't, you're going to have a clash up against the wall. There's not going to be anything, and there's going to be a total collapse of the game. Well, here's the problem with that. It is a role-playing game, isn't it? Ultimately, the dice determine your outcome. See, before the miniatures, before the minis came out, and I love minis. I love minis. Before the minis and all that background came up, the only thing we had is a piece of paper, and we had dice, right? They determined the outcome. You would describe what you're going to do. DM, I have my sword at my side. I'm running into the cave. I cautiously look around. What do I see? I see treasure. I see light up ahead. I pull the sword out slowly out of its scabbard. You role play. What the hell is wrong with people today? that they have to be robotic. What's wrong with it? It's a role-playing game. Well, I'm going to move my miniature into position, right? And then I'm going to turn my miniature in position, and then I'm going to roll, and then I'm going to attack. Fucking role-play. That's what you have to do. There is no reason for you to do that. If you're going to enter combat, pull the sword out of the scabbard. Describe what you're doing. What the fuck is wrong with you if you don't describe what you're doing? It's roleplay. There is a problem with someone if they're going to just say, hey, hold on there. I'm not going to pull out my scabbard. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to use the attack action and I'm going to turn my character and then, no. Why don't you just describe what you're going to do? Just describe. There's nothing wrong with that. Describe what you're going to do. It's okay to say a few things like, you know, I'm going to use an attack action. It's okay to say that every now and then, but you don't describe it. Add a little bit of flavor. It is a role playing. I'm sure the creator of D&D, Gygax, would just roll over in his grave if he would look and say, oh, these guys are just reading it out of a book. Reading it out of a book. I wanted to mention roleplay or role play because that's a big deal. That's a big deal in the game. And if not for you, it's a big deal for me. Because if you do not role play in a role-playing game, why bother coming to a role-playing game? Why bother playing? I've been to cons. I've been to Gen Con. And people are like, rolling dice. Okay, I attack. Really? Are you serious? Stop the press. Why don't you just say, okay, I have my cloak down. I pull the hood up. Right? Exposing my face. I grab my sword. I enter the cave cautiously. I pull the sword out of its scabbard. You see the sword out. I look left and right, cautiously. I see the kobolds coming at me. What am I going to do? What do you do? The DM says, oh, I attack. Oh, wait, I attack with my sword. First action, I swing my sword, but as I swing my sword, I'm going to say, damn it, you creatures, damn you to hell. Whatever, role play. You know, I want to say this. I had a guy, and I'm going to say this on YouTube. I don't know what I'm not going to mention his account, but I will say he came out and he made a very disparaging comment. And you know what? You could make comments. I could take it. I'm a grown man. I have a family. You could say anything you want about me, good, bad, whatever you want. Okay? But if you're not going to be nice, don't say it at all. Change the channel, go somewhere else. That's all I'm going to say. Because the problem is when you are doing something, right, and somebody's going to be mean about it, just don't bother. Just move on. That's all I'm going to say. Because I wanted to say this, and I wanted to say this live to everybody because it's important to know that we all love Dungeons and Dragons. We love the game. We love to play the game. It's all in the fun. The energy that I have here is all in fun. I'm going to mention a lot of things he said. You know what? I'm not a divorce level 99 dude. Okay? I am married, happily married, and I will tell you this, that I do this out of fun. All this, we're all having a good time. And that's what Dungeons and Dragons is. And that's what I like it to keep. So if you have negative comments to say, and, you know, that's fine. But keep them clean. Be nice about it. But if you are going to say something mean, go somewhere else. You know, churn channel, don't watch. I don't care. But don't be mean about it. All right, anyways, let's continue on. We're talking about role-playing or role-playing. The big thing about role-playing is this. You don't have to be an actor. You don't have to be a voice actor. You don't have to do voices. I like doing voices. I like acting goofy. That's just the way I am as a DM. All right, Mike Dale has another comment. And I said, whatever I'm talking about, I'm going to switch up real quick. All right, Mike Dale says, maybe it's because players take rules too seriously. They should just have fun, unfold the story, and adventure. Beautiful comment. It's up there for people to see. That is wonderful. Thank you, Mike, for the comment. Yes, people take rules too seriously. The rules are there for a guide. And we're going to talk about this. I've talked about rules this before, the subject matter before, but let's bring it back up. Thank you, Mike, for bringing it back up. Rules are there as a guide. Number one, it's in every book of Dungeons and Dragons. There is a guide. Everyone should have fun. But, number one, if you're going to use rules as, I understand the rules, everybody, all the characters, all the players, all of them, they have rules. They have their actions, bonus actions, we all know that stuff, right? But if that is going to impede on the flow of the game, then fuck that. I've said it. You know why? Because the problem we have here is there's a flow of the game, right? You're role-playing, having a scene, getting a fantasy setting. You are imagining yourself in a different realm. In my realm, it's Dominulus. So if you are imagining yourself in that realm, then when you have someone saying, a rule monger, hey, well, you're not doing it right, blah, 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 talk it over later. Talk it over later. Don't interrupt. Why would you be a tool to interrupt? Because you are. You shouldn't be that. You shouldn't be that at all. Everyone should have fun. Again, talk it over with your players. Communication is a key. I stress, I've done my session 0. We've done a session 0. And we moved on from that. My guys know me as DM. You know, I try to be 100% honest. I try to be, hey, we're all here to have fun. If there's a rule we need to talk about, we'll talk about it after the game, away from the table. We don't talk about stuff like that at my table. I've said that many times because it interrupts the flow of the game. You are telling a fantasy story, right? But somebody is going to be like, well, if I had an extra action, or he took multiple actions and I didn't, how is that fair? You're right. How is that fair? Well, we'll talk about it later. Not during the game, because it'll ruin your game. Because imagine this, right? You're role-playing, you're having a great time, you're playing for 4.5 hours, and the final hour of that game, it's all arguments. Because your people, your party, you got all mad because of a rule that was a gray line. Is that fair for some players? No, it's not fair on the player's part, and it's not fair on the DM's part, because there's a disagreement between both parties. But then again, when the player is misunderstanding the rule, right? There's nothing wrong with helping that player after the game or during break. Okay, I'm sorry, I messed up. I'll do it in the next scene. I'll fix it. Not a big deal. The streaming folks, we all know that when they go to a con and they stream live in front of thousands of people, and you know who I'm talking about, the first thing they say, don't shout out the rules. Why? Because it's all about entertainment. It's entertainment. Yes, it is. Yeah, rules are important, but it's entertainment. And you should apply that to your table. Have fun. Entertainment is a part of the story. Am I right or wrong? Oh, wait, Henry, you're completely wrong, because on page 45 of the player's manual, it says this. On page 57 of the DM's guide, it says this. You did that trap incorrectly. Is a DM guide telling my story? Is the DM guide telling my story? Or am I telling the story? Is the book driving your story? Is the book telling you the story? Because all I know, I've been in cons where the DM picked up the paper and says, well, they entered a room. You look up, you see a bunch of goblins with arrows. What are you doing? Am I playing with a fucking AI? Or am I playing with a human? Describe the scene. Describe the scene. Ultimately, it's your story, ultimately. The books are there as guides. The rules are there as guides. I'm not saying I don't follow rules. I do. But they're the guides. And just like Mike, again, had said, rules are there as a guide, and they unfold a story and adventure. You should have fun. You should have fun, ultimately, and that's the key. Having fun. When you take the rules too seriously, it ruins the story and the narrative. It ruins it. It really does. I've been in campaigns where it's so boring because and I'm not talking about my friend Anthony. My friend Anthony, he plays by the rules, and he plays well. But he has a story to tell. And if he has to override that rule because he wants to tell his narrative, he will. And I have done it, and he has done it too. There are so many DMs out there that need to understand that, look, when you role play, when you DM a story, it is your story. Not the Dungeon Master's Guide, not the Player's Manual. There's guides. Dungeon Master's Guide. Right? You can homebrew most of your games. I do. I don't like to read the source books. I mean, I do read them, but I don't like to run them in my games. I use them as a guide. Oh, I like that creature from that source book. I use Vecna in my short story that I had in season 1. But the problem is here that people use the books 100%, and they say, well, the character can do this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, the character. Yes, you got to take a rest. Yes, you got to take a long rest. Yes, you got to do this. Yes, you got to do that. But understand, it is a role-playing game. It is. Ultimately, everything's in your mind. You're supposed to imagine yourself in this fictitious world. You're not just there sitting and reading a book. Because if you're reading a book, why not just buy a book? Go to Barnes & Noble, go to Books A Million, buy yourself a novel and read it. Because that's what you're doing, right? Curse of Strahd, for example. That's an awesome, awesome story. It is. Will you run it? Yeah. Maybe some DMs will run it. Maybe thousands of DMs have run Curse of Strahd. Maybe I will one day. But I'll do it my way. I'm not going to use the whole story in that because that's just the way I like doing things. I like writing my own story. I don't want to use someone else's content. I don't. That's just me as a DM. If somebody else wants to DM, take the chair, and wants to run Curse of Strahd, I'll gladly play in their game. I will gladly play in their game. But don't turn around and say, well, Henry, you're completely wrong for doing that. No, I'm not. Why am I wrong? Because it's the narrative I'm driving is completely wrong. It's completely not in the D&D world. Homebrew, right? Homebrew is D&D. Oh, well, what's wrong with homebrew? Oh, no, it's you can't run a story to homebrew. Why not? Why can't you do it? Big streamers do it. They have their own story. Why can't I? And why can't you? You can definitely run a homebrew story. You don't have to use all those source books. They're tools like anything else. Do I like some of the creatures in there? Hell yeah, I do. I like some of the creatures in there. Will I use some of the creatures in season 2? Yes, I will. But one thing is for sure, I will not stop writing because that's what I do. I love writing. And I'm going to tell my story. I'm not going to tell their story. They've already told their story. They already have source books out. You could talk to my guys about the Vecna story I've wrote. It was 100% creative and 100% original. And it was awesome. And they loved it. I told them they could make whatever they wanted. No holds barred. Go ahead. Boom, boom, boom. And they did. I gave them a run for their money, and they gave me a run for their money. I remember one person put it out on Reddit, right? And the guy on Reddit turned around and said, well, he's trying to railroad you, or he's trying to, control, whatever. Stop the press, please. Spare me the bullshit, okay? It's not that, okay? What it is a story. Ultimately, it's a story that I'm writing, that you're writing as DM, that all the M's in the world are writing. It is your story. Somebody gets angry. Oh, well, you're taking control. You're railroading. No, you're not. You're writing a story. And people, the players, are part of that story. You're not controlling the narrative. They're not controlling the narrative. Both of you are agreeing. You have a beautiful story. Both DM, players together create an awesome story. But the problem is with most people, and I see this a lot out there, and I see this that most people turn around and they say, well, you should do this a certain way because the book says so. No. Why? Why should you do it that way? Because the book says so. What if you want to do it backwards? What if you want to write the story completely 360? What if you want to write the end as the beginning, the middle is the end, and the end leading elsewhere? What if you just want to mix it up? Have you not seen that movie, Memento? What a great movie. Either way, here's another one. Making rules on the spot. Do you make rules on the spot, or do you just talk it over at the table? Do you just say, screw it, we'll just move on? Or do you just say, pull up the player's manual, pull out the DM's guide, pull out the book, and then look it up, on the fly? What do you guys do? Let me know in the comments. Well, if not, then I'll answer. What I do personally, we usually make a rule on the fly. If everyone's confused, move on. Like I said, as DM, I do not like things to stop the flow. Now, if it's something that it's imperative to combat, where a player might live or die, that's something a little different. I'll pull it up real quick. We'll look it up, boom. But it's quick, and you move it. You move on. You don't want to be like, hold on, let me go look in page 45 and go through it, and then be there for 20 minutes trying to look up something. No. If you don't have the Greater Restoration spell, then you don't have it. Period. If somebody gets turned into stone, or they're petrified, whatever, then they're done. They don't have the spell. Nobody in the party has it. Oh well. It's a higher level spell. Move on. Figure it out. All right, so what do you guys think of certain players or DMs as DM? What style? We're talking about improvising or prepare. I want to touch on these really quick because improvising and prepare are very important. When you improvise, I said you have to have a little bit of both. You got to improvise and you have to prepare. A mixture of both will intensify your game. I do both. Sometimes you have to do both because players will pull a ruse on you. They usually do, and you know what? They really can be something sometimes, and in a fun way. It's almost cute. But when you improvise, here's an example of improvisation. Let's say you go into a town and all the players are there, their party's there, and they want to go into the tavern. But you have written that you got to meet somebody by the inn, right? Somebody with a black hood, a silver sword, whatever. by the end. Whatever the narrative is it's in the end. And all the party, they decide, oh, the tavern, let's all have a good time. So you spend an hour in a tavern. What do? Enough with the negative side. We're going to talk about something fun. Improvisation or improv. And or prepare. So what do you do as the GM? Do you say, hey, I'm going to prepare? I want to have things prepared? Or do you let it go? This is what I mean about preparing. Prepare doesn't mean you pre-written that they have to meet somebody at the end. That's part of preparation, yes, but prepared means also you have a list of names to help with your improvisation. The shopkeeper or the tavern owner. She's female elf. Her name is Sylvan. Right? The bartender, Gregory, the human. He's about 6 foot tall. He's really strong. You know, he's washing dishes in the back. He comes out, oh, can I help you? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, give me a second. What do you want? Want some ale? All right, it'll be, a silver piece or two. There you go. Whatever it is, you have to improvise. That's what you do. You have your names, you have your list of names, you have the scene set. You're in a tavern. Pick your music. There you go. The problem is when you don't have that, and that's all part of preparation. Before the game, you got to make sure that you have the tools. Here we go with the rules again. You have the tools. Random creatures. Roll them. You can use that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. Or you want to write down what creatures they meet. That's a lot of work. It is. But it's also fun to do random. Because you could look it up, click, boom, and look. And, oh, they're going up against bats. Ooh, wow, they're going up against a kobold. Ooh, a goblin. Ooh, an orc. Ooh, a white dragon. Oh, shit. That's random. Those are the tools that the books give you to help you with your game. And there's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I like preparation and improv. There's nothing wrong with that. You can use both together. And when you do, your game will be smooth. The players can go ahead anywhere they want in the world. They can go fishing. And they'll meet a lady by the lake, fishing herself, or on a boat, or on a ship, with multiple elves going south. Whatever. You have to be prepared. Because if you improv all the time, and I'm not saying it can't be done, it could be done, but it is extremely difficult. You have to get your energy from your players. What I mean by that is this. I ask a player, what are you doing? They're in the same tavern. One says, oh, I'm going to go grab some ale. I grab the ale, drink it. I want to drink some more. I don't want to get too drunk, but I'm looking at the waitress or the server. What is she doing? Oh, she's pouring drinks for other customers right now. You look and you see a tiefling. What are you doing? You see protruding horns on her forehead. You see long brown curly hair. You see she has rimmed glasses to the bridge of her nose. She has bright brown eyes. What are you doing? So the player does, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. I want to go and approach her. when you start to improvise more and more, you can do that. I'm not saying you can't. It's great for a 2-hour game. But for a 4 to 5 hour game, that's a lot of energy. You have to really pick up a lot from each player. Because the way I do it, the way I DM is I pick up from my players. The more they give me, the more I give them. If they're going to be, well, I see the tiefling, I'm just going to sit here. Okay. She comes up to you, walks over to you. Can I help you? What do you want? Get you some drinks? Get you some food? Whatever. That's what you have to do. Can you deliver that energy over and over again? Yeah, you can. I'm not saying you can't do it. It can be done, but it's gonna be fucking hard. Let's go over one more thing I want to talk about. I know I said no holds barred, but it's cool. I had a couple of comments that people were talking about. So let me see here. Okay, so we talked about improvise, prepare, and all that. So, what do y'all want to talk about? Want to talk about strength in the game? Here's one. Strength. Do you like playing strong characters, or do you like playing weak characters? Let's talk about that, because I have one. In my friend Anthony Yanis's game, I played a character. We rolled our abilities one by order. I played a fighter, and my fighter sucked. I know I mentioned this before when I first talked about, when we first started DM Talk, but I want to bring it up again because it's a great topic. I had the most fun with playing that character. He was weak as hell. He didn't do crap. I mean, role-playing wise, he was awesome. I played like I was the strongest fighter in the world. I've got this. I'm strong. I'm beefy. I could take anybody out. That's a narrative. That's the energy I put out. And the DM put out that energy as well. And we meshed well together. We just blew everything apart. It was awesome. His sons, Alex, Stephen, you know, they role played as well. They just did a great job. Everybody in the game. Anthony Jr., you know, he did great as well. We all had a great time. The main point of all this that I'm trying to say is when you role play in general, we talked about role playing and role playing. There's nothing wrong with having miniatures. There's nothing wrong with having the books and using them to apply those rules, to apply things in your game. There's nothing wrong with all that. There's nothing wrong in having Dwarven Forge in your game, or even using Hero Escape, which I use. My best friend George, he has Hero Escape. We put those tiles together and we use them in the games. There's nothing wrong with that. What can you do? Oh, wait a second. We can't use these things. Yes, you could. That's all part of the game. There's nothing wrong with you looking in the book every now and then and using a rule every now and then. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. But there are guides, the miniatures, even the minis. They're all aesthetics. They're all that makes the game beautiful. It makes the game grow. You can use all that. There's nothing wrong with it. The number one problem I have, though, is when people step away from the game. And in the game, they talk about stuff that's particular to their character, and they don't role play. Remember, I talked about role play and role play. Role play or role play. They don't role play at all. Not role playing. There's nothing wrong with using rules. When I DM, I use the rules. It's part of the game. But if there's an ism or an iffy, or if there's something going on in the game that we don't understand, we'll go over it real quick or move on. Move the hell on. I am not going to spend 15 plus minutes looking up a rule. It's not happening. That will be taken care of away from the table. Those are my 2 rules. Okay. 3. Third one. This is important. Miniatures. Miniatures, that's awesome. You know, we're going to use, season 2, we're going to use miniatures. And we're going to really focus on backgrounds and stuff and the minis and the town and stuff. That's awesome. I love all that. But we go back to rule number 1 and number 2. Role playing and rules. If the minis take away from the role play, no. The role play is the number 1 thing. Because it is a role playing game. I've played Theater of the Mind hours and hours. And Theater of the Mind, you could be anywhere. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to buy minis and paints and all that stuff. I'm not saying that stuff is bad for your game. It adds to your game. The visuals are great. But ultimately, role-playing is theater of the mind. Period. You can't just tell me it isn't, because it is. There's thousands of RPGs out there that use theater of the mind. And only theater of the mind. Why is that important? Well, because if you don't have theater of the mind, if you don't have the role-playing aspect in it, then all you have are the rules, all you have are the character classes, and all that means nothing. All that is nothing if you're not giving it life. If the character or NPC that you walk into a shop is boring as hell, why create the shop? Why create the NPC? Why put the time and effort? Let me look at my my video here in a second. All right, everything looks good. All right, so why bother with all that if you're not going to give the life into that NPC? If you're not going to drive your story with the energy that you're putting into it? If you're not going to roleplay? If you're just going to roll dice, then roll Monopoly. Then play Monopoly. Excuse me. If you're going to roll the dice, then play Axis and Allies. If you're going to roll the dice, then play Yahtzee. Because that's what they're for. The dice, the paper, the minis, all the rules, they're all guides. They're all aesthetics of the game. They're all props. What good is reading Curse of Strahd if you're not going to put the energy in describing the room, in describing Strahd, in describing the fiend that he is? No. Don't do it then. Don't DM. Don't play. Because that's what it's about. You don't think that these streamers that are extremely powerful, that are doing all these shows, don't put effort in their characters? They do. Oh, they do. And they do an awesome job. Their brilliance in the role playing and their acting is wonderful. I'm not saying for you to take classes in acting or voice acting or anything like that. Do your best. Have fun with it, because that's what it's about, having fun. But ultimately, if you take the rules, take the minis, and take your role playing and use all of them in a dry way, in a way where it's completely bland. Your role playing is bland. All you're doing is reading the D&D Beyond script. Oh, I have 2 actions and a bonus action. Do I get to take a long rest, DM, or a short rest? Oh, wait. We had combat. Exhaustion. DM, you gotta tell me when am I gonna rest? Put me in a situation where I'm gonna rest. No, I'm not gonna do that. What I do, I base it off reality a bit. If you're fighting and you have a group of players that are fighting and they've been fighting for a long time and they moved on and there's more combat ahead. Oh wait, but the rules say there has to be a certain amount of combat. Let's see here in a fantasy world. If you were in a book and you walk into that battle, thousands of people are fighting and you're trying to survive, and you get out, you're bleeding, and you have no recourse but to flee. You flee. You're trying to flee. You're fighting for your life. And then up ahead, you see wolves, a pack of wolves. Oh, wait. Stop the press. Stop it right here. The book says you only have to have a certain amount of combat a day. You have to have a rest. Give the players a rest. No. They're entering a territory. They're trying to find an area of safety. They went away from a horde of, a battalion of warriors fighting. You made it out, barely. Now you're trying to find a safe spot. Trying to find. That's the key word, trying to find. So now you're running, right? You're running away. Sorry. You're running away. And what do you see in front of you? A creature. Or wolves. A pack of wolves. They're hungry. What do you think is going to happen? You're in a forest. Oh, wait. Stop. all the creatures are going to stop just for you. Give them a break, not a problem. Let them sit there. Do a tiny hut. Let them sit there. Oh, we don't have a tiny hut. Well, I guess you're screwed. Find a way. It's not my job as a DM to tell you, oh, there's this and that. There's a trail. There's a safe spot over there. No, I want to describe the scene. There's an open meadow, surrounding forest. There you go. You roll, perception roll, investigation roll, whatever. You have exhaustion level 1. You move on because you haven't found anything yet. Oh, wait, that's too harsh, Henry. Fuck that. It's too harsh, then don't play the damn game. Really? It's too harsh? Are you freaking serious? Why is it too harsh? Because you can't find a place of rest? Oh, but the book says, I don't care what the dang book says. You're in a fantasy world. You're trying to escape a deadly scenario, and now you're moving from one location to another. You're running, right? You're trying to find a way. I want to pitch a tent up here. There's a clearing. You have the tools as a player to talk it over with your fellow players, to your party, to make something of it. It is not the DM's job to tell you, oh, wait, there's a safe spot over here if you go northeast. No. When you're playing a video game, does it tell you where a safe spot is? When you get screwed up by the creature over here in the west and you're going eastbound, in a video game, Legend of Zelda, any role-playing game out there, right? If you don't have any healing or health or anything, what do? You run. You move on. Why is it different in a role-playing game? Why is it different in D&D? Because the rule book says you can only have so many fights a day. You have to have so many rests a day. That is not my job as a DM to make you guys rest. You want to rest. You tell me what you want to do. Period. That's what the DM says. Hey, what do you want to do? Players go, all right, we want to rest. Where do you want to rest? In a clearing. Okay. George has a tiny hut. Poof. Tiny hut, you rest. Bingo. Oh, wait, we got teleported from one scenario to another. Well, it's part of the story. Why, you think in a fantasy realm it's going to be safe in every corner? No, it's part of the story. Are you dead? Well, we're almost dying. Well, that's the story. I got clobbered by a rack of armor. You know, it animated. I played a wizard, and he clobbered the hell out of me in one of my friend's games. He DM'd. And he found clobbered me. I was rolling bad. And that's the thing. When you roll bad, you have no choice. You have no choice but to sit there and take it. I took it. I ended up dying in that game. I didn't cry and say, well, I didn't make it. There was no safe haven for me. So I'm going to cry. Why are you going to cry? If I make a mistake in the game as a DM and the players call me out on it, I'll change it real quick. Boom, move on. That's the way it should be. But if there's a situation where the party is stuck and they go to a different area in a cave or in a town, a forest, wherever they're at, a mansion, an underground catacomb, wherever they're at, and they move on, and that area is a dark, evil area, dangerous. What do you think is going to happen? Excuse me. What do you think is going to happen? You think everybody's going to be like, hey, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Let's traverse here and make sure that you're covered. So you have the players, because they're all badasses, instead of whining, watching each other's back. You have the fighter in the front. You have the cleric in the middle. You have another fighter in the back. You have a barbarian in the very back. You know, and then you have a druid in the middle as well. However you want to do it. However the party wants to fall in that group. Whoever wants to go first in that line. You know, whoever, that's just the way it is. So you work together as a party to move on in a dangerous area. Will you die? Yes. That's why the white box D&D is a little stronger, and you can die quick because people are complaining that they're not superheroes like D&D 5e. And I call them superheroes. I love 5e. I love 5e. I'm not knocking it down. All I'm saying is the difference between the older versions and this one is great. It's well written. But a level 5 is very different in 5e than a level 5 in the older versions. Is it bad? No. Both versions are good. I'm playing 5e. My guys want to play 5e, we'll play it. We'll go to town, let's go. But, they want to play the white box? Let's do it. And it's hard. Dungeon crawling in a white box, it is deadly as hell. What I mean by that is anything can kill you. Anything. And you're done. There is no, oh, I get a greater restoration, or I got petrified, or, oh, wait, there's a creature that eats my armor out. A rust monster. Something like that can really mess you up. And you know what? It's great. Rust monsters are cool. But if you have armor, you're screwed. Excuse me. Why is the armor working? Why isn't my sword working? Uh-oh. Why is it doing no damage? What? Why? I don't know. Going up against a rust monster. You move on. Oh, there's a dragon in the cave. A dragon in a cave. What are we doing here in the cave? Oh, let's go out. It's sleeping. There's treasure around it. We're gonna die. Let's go. Let's move on. Okay. Stealth check. They all fail. Oh shit. The dragon wakes up. Then what? There is no foul in running. You can run. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with running away from a fight. That's the best way to do it sometimes. In a scenario where you have a multitude of goblins coming at you. And what I'm going to use in season 2, I'm going to use overkill, which is very cool. And I'm going to use minions from Flea Mortals. And minions, you have a group of 5. I'm going to state they're minions, and my party's going to know that they can kick some ass. with that group. But it's fun. I'm doing it for fun. And using minions is great. I don't know if you guys want to use that. From Matt Colville's Flea Mortals. You should. It's very cool. And it's on D&D Beyond. You know what? I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, to me, it's a great book. I love it. I've got the actual real copy, not the digital copy, but it's on D&D Beyond. And you could use it. It's very cool. It's got awesome creatures and so forth. So anyways, sorry, I'm lost track of what I was saying. So you have your minions and you have all these groups. What is the best way to use those groups? In a scenario where you have your 5 minions, goblins, it's great. You can do them with orcs too. You can use minions for anything. And they're a lot of fun. I urge you guys to use them. I'm going to use them in season 2. And it's going to be one hell of a story. And I hope that you guys continue supporting me, subscribe, and supporting the guys too, because they've worked their ass off. They have jobs, and we all have jobs. And let me tell you, we work our butts off, and then every other Saturday playing D&D and filming this can be very tasking sometimes. And I gotta give them credit. I love the guys; they're really awesome. And you really, really have to take a look at what these things you can apply in the game to make it fun, to make it not only for them, for me, because it's a lot of fun for me. And I'm using a lot of the creatures from Flea Mortals because, you know, they have a lower AC, higher HP. And what that does is it means that everybody gets a pop shot, you know, and when that happens, it really makes it fun. It's not fun when you have a player, you know, swinging a sword and they miss. It kind of sucks, but when they hit, you know, it makes it fun. The creature's not going down yet, but it makes it fun. It makes it fun for me too. You know, the creature doesn't go down fast. Every creature has a different role. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. I will another time, but tonight, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, especially on Twitch, sticking with me, and, you know, share the channel, let everybody know on Twitch. Same thing on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. Let everybody know about Playerole. We are, you know, season 2 kicks off tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Time. And, you know, I have one hell of a story. And my guys, we're going to have a great time. D&D is a great time. Join us, have fun. And again, you know, if you're going to comment, you know, just be nice. That's all I'm saying. Don't be mean. We're all here to have fun and have a good time. I love you guys. Stay safe. And I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central.